Today we have a whole lineup to go through of many tools that will be options if you don't like your Leatherman Micra or you want something else or you want another option. But first of all, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about the Leatherman Micra and about what you can do. Now the Leatherman Micra is one of, I think it's Leatherman's longest running multi-tool that has essentially remained unchanged. It is now up to $50, which is a little bit rich for some people. Just a little bit too much money. And one of the things that people find very frustrating with it is it doesn't cut things like paracord, but it will cut other things that other multi-tools won't. So some of you said in my last video that it cuts fingernails where other tools won't. So there is some pluses with the Micra, but keep in mind it does have some limitations. So what I want to do is first of all show you what I did. So we'll jump into this. This right here is what sort of started this avalanche. This is the Decoyu, I think something like that, multi-tool. And this one right here comes in at about $5. And then you have to include shipping, of course, as well. But essentially it is the Leatherman Micra for $5 and it cuts better, but the handles don't always work quite as well. I did notice that my second one aligns a lot better and works a lot better. So some work better than others and some seem to have a little bit higher quality. So keep that in mind. But what a lot of you ask me is, can you change out the scissors for your other Leatherman Micra? You actually can. And let's go ahead and just jump in to that really quick. So it has these gnarled screws, and what happens in the pivot right here is you just take these apart right here. Now, in the old days, I say the old days, probably 5 or so years ago, people would just do this on their own with a pair of pliers. But what you can do now is you can buy a Leatherman wrench off of Amazon from the multi-tool parts store. Now I couldn't find mine real quick, so I had an old pair laying around. So this design is a little different, but it still works the same. So you use one on one side, one on the other, and then you can take apart this pivot. Now, what I found was that both of mine actually came apart the same way. So usually Leatherman flip-flops there. So if one is the screw part, and if one is the male part and one's the female part, then it's the opposite on the other side. But anyway, on mine, it seemed like both of the male parts were on the same side. All right, so what we have is once you take these off, the scissors come right out. And then you have two little parts like so that fit in, and then you just insert it into your tool. So again, this came out of the Leatherman Micra. This came out of the Decoyu $5 tool, and it works the exact same way. I found that the Leatherman disassembly tool didn't work quite as well with this $5 tool, and sometimes you may have to use pliers on the hardware. They weren't quite as good. They definitely weren't as well defined as Leatherman, so keep that in mind, but I was able to get them apart, put everything back together, and it works. But what I noticed is on this transplant version, the handles don't close as much. It's open a lot wider, so it still works fine, but you know, there is that. So it's not a perfect solution, but that's the answer. Yes, you can do it. So let's go ahead, get this out of the way. And I want to run down with a test out of most of these tools, give you about 6 or so options for replacing your Leatherman Micra. So what we have right here, again, first up is a Leatherman Micra. Let's run over its specs again. So we've got tweezers here. We've got sort of this Phillips screwdriver. We've got this small micro driver bottle cap lifter. We do have the knife. We've got another screwdriver, and then we've got a nail file tool right here as well. And so what I want to do is just do a couple of tests with my Micra. This is an original Micra right here. And first of all, let's do the thin cutting test. So this is just to cut through plastic, and it actually works really good with that. And then some of you had mentioned about cutting Band-Aids. So I got some Band-Aids out in the package, and you see that the 11 micro slices right through there as well. And then some of you had also mentioned zip ties as well. So I got sort of a medium zip tie. I do have some heavier duty zip ties, but the micro actually does really good through the zip ties, cuts right through there. But it's with the paracord that the micro seems to have some issue. So then you can see it sort of binds up, but it does cut through. Let's try that. Yeah, it can't just cleanly cut through, but it will eventually get there. All right, so that's the Leatherman Micra. Put that off to the side. Now let's do the one with the swapped out scissors. And this is the $5 tool. Again, the scissors from the $5 tool. So slices right through the bag. And then let's go ahead and cut through the Band-Aid. Cuts right through the Band-Aid. Let's go to the paracord, slices right through the paracord. And then let's go to the zip tie, slices right through the zip tie. So now you do have a pair of scissors on your micro that works very, very well. And so this is the other. This is the tool with the implements, and this is the DKU $5 tool right here. And then again, it's pretty much the same as the Leatherman Micra. The tools look basically almost identical, but there you go. All right, so let's jump on, and let's go next to what a lot of you said was actually the best tool in this category. So this is the Victorinox Classic SD. And this right here has a pair of tweezers. It does have a toothpick as well. I've got several of these, and sometimes when I buy tools off of eBay, they'll just throw these in. So let's go ahead and do, again, this find the bag test, slices right through there. Let's do, again, the Band-Aid, slices right through the Band-Aid. Let's do paracord, and so it goes through the paracord. Again, the scissors are a little bit smaller. And then let's do, yeah, the zip tie doesn't work out so well. So I'm a little afraid of breaking these scissors. It does go through eventually. But I have to say that these scissors are great, but they're not quite as strong as some of these other ones. So this comes in at $20. Again, your Leatherman Micra comes in at $50. Your Leatherman Micra copy clone comes in at $5, $5 or so. I had to pay around $8 with shipping. All right, so this is on sale. Well, this is actually $23, but you can get the steel version or the aluminum scale version on sale for $20, which I think is fantastic, but you do lose the toothpick and the tweezers. All right, so the next one I want to talk about was an interesting tool that I think really a lot of people aren't talking about, and this is it's essentially built like a Leatherman Juice to some extent. And this right here is the HX Outdoors. And then it sort of has some, outdoors, EDC, scissor, multi-tool. They just throw in a bunch of names. But so you get this nail tool, you get these two screwdrivers right here, get a bottle cap lifter as well. Then on this side, you get a knife. And then you also, on this side, you get a small screwdriver as well. And so you get all those. And then I forgot, you do get a set of tweezers right here on the end. So you get a lot in a little package. Now, this at one time had skyrocketed up to $30, which I think is a little ridiculous for this tool, but it is now down to $23 on Aliexpress, and it comes in red and then more of a black gray. I think they've changed the color a little bit. All right, so let's see how it does on this test. Slice right through the plastic. Let's go ahead, grab my trusty Band-Aid right here. It does slice through the Band-Aid all right. And then let's do paracord. It doesn't do quite as clean on paracord. So actually, I feel like at the tip, it may do a little bit better, but it will eventually slice through. So not not fantastic. Let's do, and then yeah, it does really good through the zip tie. All right, so again, that comes in at $23. All right, so let's move on to Gerber, and I'd forgotten that Gerber still has the splice. I just saw this today on their website for $24. To be honest, I thought they discontinued it, but it does seem like it's still in production. This is a very old, ancient one. This one right here has these tools. Let's see, we've got this bottle cap lifter that comes out, this screwdriver. We've got this micro screwdriver right here on the end as well. And then on this side, we have this serrated blade. And then we do also have this knife as well. So a lot of options right there on a small frame. Let's see how the scissors work. And let's get slicing. All right. So it does cut through this plastic bag pretty well right there. And then let's go ahead and start with a new Band-Aid right here. Slices very well through there. And then slices right through the paracord. Man, I feel like this splice, very impressed with the scissors, and then cuts right through there. So have to say this is one of the better ones so far. And I feel like this and then the $5 tool that's like the Micra are actually pretty close. Have to say maybe the splice is the best so far. Maybe. All right, and then we have the Solstice. Now, this is only available on Aliexpress. The Solstice has been long since discontinued by Gerber, but it is still well and alive on Aliexpress. Cuts right through the plastic. What you have is a Phillips screwdriver, and you have just the straight edge screwdriver, and then you do have this can opener actually. And bottle cap lifter, and then, well, actually bottle cap lifters on this side. So very minimalist tool, extremely. It is a keychain tool. So again, let's see. Yep, slices right through there. Again, let's slice into this Band-Aid. Wow, slices right through there very well. Gets really caught up on this paracord. So I thought it was going to do fairly well, but I have to say not very well in the paracord. You have to be very careful. That can pinch you very easily. So perhaps that's why Gerber discontinued it. It is a little monster waiting to happen. So anyway, it does work on everything, not so much the paracord, but everything else. And this one does come in at $11. So it's a very cheap option. But again, it can be a very painful option. So keep that in mind. All right, then the next one up, this is another discontinued item, and AliExpress has this. Now, this is the original, but AliExpress has essentially copied this. So, again, this is not from AliExpress, I don't think. I think this is from eBay, an original SOG, but I will be trying this one. And then I'll be giving you links to the AliExpress version, and hopefully the scissors are as good as this. Now, on the SOG Crosscut, before it was discontinued, you had a pair of tweezers, you had the knife, you had the screwdriver, you had this nail tool, you had a toothpick right there. Then you also had this little like screwdriver bottle cap lifter as well. And then you had this compound leverage system, which is pretty cool, and I really like the dynamic of the handles here as well. All right, so let's go ahead, cut through the bag. All right, cut through the bag. Felt like I was cutting air right there, but I guess I have to hold this. This one you have to hold, you have to squeeze it a lot further before it cuts. So let's go ahead and see if this can clean up some of these paracord. Oh, not so good. Yeah, so these scissors rather do struggle a lot on this paracord. So eventually you can hack your way through, but definitely not a clean cut. Let's go ahead and see. Do a pretty good job here. I have to say that it is a very odd experience because you essentially have to close them all the way before they cut. Maybe I should do it more at the tip, but still, yeah. Anyway, not quite as good as I was hoping, but you can still get these on AliExpress. Again, they've been discontinued by SOG, but you can get them for about the $15 mark, and that's another option. All right, so let's move on to Next Tool. Next Tool has a couple options right here, and this is their newly released Sailor Mini Sailor. And with this, you do get a micro set of pliers. You do get this little Phillips screwdriver tool. You do get this little screwdriver can opener. Let's go ahead and close this up. Then you do get the file with the screwdriver at the end. You do get this knife as well. So those are several of the tools, just really quickly. I think that's most of the tools. And then let's try the scissors. So again, I may miss a couple of these tools here, but trying to give you a very quick overview. So there we go. We've got the scissors, cut very well through the bag, cut very well through the Band-Aid, cut extremely well through the paracord, and they slice right through the zip tie. So I have to say this, and again the splice, probably some of the best ones so far. Excellent job. So seem to do very good. And then the this next tool, this comes in, I believe this one comes in at $22. Again, the price goes up and down on Amazon, but this comes in at $22. So let's actually do the E1. And this one is the biggest of the lot. And I wasn't sure if I should add this or not, but this is newly released from Nextool. Again, this does have the hobby blade. It's got the bit driver. And then again, the pocket clip. On this side, you've got the knife, and then you do have this pair of scissors. And then you also have, let's see right here, we'll get these scissors out. Yeah, you have this file and screwdriver as well. So those are most of the tools right here. This is pretty small, pretty minimalist. So I thought I would just add this on here. But again, this really isn't Keychain. So probably it shouldn't be on here, but let's just do it for just to test it out. All right, so we've got the bag right there, and then let's go ahead, cut some paracord. Does very well with the paracord, and let's transition to a newer zip tie, and then it cuts right through the zip tie as well. So again, the E1 does very good, but again, probably a little bit too big to be called a Keychain tool. Here it is compared to the Nextool Sailor Mini Sailor, but anyway, very good set of scissors. All right, let's move on to Roxxon, and this is the M3. Now the M3 is unique. It's got tools stored a little bit everywhere. This handle, we've got a toothpick, we've got a pair of scissors. On this side, we've got a micro screwdriver that comes out. So just a little bit of everything here and there. And then we do have this really large can opener, bottle cap lifter, Phillips screwdriver. We have got the awl. And I think, if I remember right, the 4mm bit kit adapter may work with this. And then we do have the knife as well. And then on the back, in case you missed this, we do have a file. So all kinds of options. So again, let's slice through the bag. None of them have had issues with precise cutting like that. So slice through the bag. Let's go ahead, slice into the Band-Aid. Wow. Yeah, this really cuts with authority right there. You can just tell sometimes it really grips well, and then cuts right through here. So these probably feel like one of the heavier duty pair of scissors. Again, compare the splice to there just in sheer dimensions. These are a huge set of scissors. So very nice. Let's again compare this in conjunction with the Nextool Mini Sailor. Yeah, wow. So the M3 is a fantastic tool. I think it is technically considered maybe a Keychain tool, but again, here is size dimensions, so it's not that much bigger, but those scissors are. So very big set of scissors. All right, so let's go ahead, finish it up with the Roxxon. Again, this was the Roxxon M3 that comes in at $20. This is actually the M4 that comes in at $24. Now, the Roxxon M4 has a pair of nail clippers, so that's unique. And we'll go ahead and close that up. And let's see. It's been a little while since I've used this one, actually. So we have the knife, We've got this nail file. Again, we have this little Phillips screwdriver. I think the adapter fits on there for 4mm bits. We have this can opener bottle cap lifter. And then yes, we do have a pair of scissors. And again, this has that attachment for a keychain. It's pretty small. A lot of you will probably say, why aren't you talking about the KS2? The KS2 is a little bit larger, so keep in mind it is definitely larger than this. All right, so these are a little bit smaller set of scissors for the dimension of the tool. They definitely feel more like Victorinox size scissors. They slice through the bag, slice through the Band-Aid. Will they slice through the paracord? They will, but it takes about 2 cuts. So not quite as good as some of the others, but again, these are a smaller set of scissors. And then they do cut through the zip tie, but it is a little bit more of a struggle. So they're fine. They work fine. But again, yeah, not near like the M3. So I have to say that out of all these tools, I think the M3, and again, this comes in at, I think it's, yeah, $24. So I have to say for $20, I think one of the best tools you can get is the M3. And then probably the next tool, Mini Sailor, right here with the scissors, and then probably the Gerber Splice. I have to say these are probably some of my favorite. If we're talking about keychain tools, I feel like these are some of the toughest. Now, of course, the Victorinox is great, but again, the scissors are just so small that if you want to, again, cut way outside the realm of what you should be cutting, these tools really pack a punch well above their size. So these are some fantastic tools. Again, I think Leatherman, it does okay on most things, but again, there are some things it just cannot do. So I think these tools really do a good job. But again, I do have to say Leatherman has a more tapered set of scissors right here that perhaps can, you know, reach into smaller areas, or if you're trying to cut some threads off, and these right here will be a lot larger, and you can't, again, use these for as small as tasks as you can the Leatherman Micra. So keep that in mind, but these are all great alternatives to the Micra. I think the Micra still has a place, but I'm not sure if it does at $50.